What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to NFL Turf Talk. We're live here getting ready for the Week 4 slate of action. As always, we're live on DSM Media's Philadelphia Twitter channel and the DSM Media Turf Talk YouTube channel. So, guys, do us a favor and do yourself a quick favor. Make sure to follow on all platforms and check out the YouTube link specifically. It is the best and only spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up here on the screen with us. So make sure to tap in and hit that subscribe button on the Turf Talk YouTube channel if you want to be interactive with your host. I'm one half of them, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. We're already in week 4, brother. October is just, 2 days away, 3 days away from getting into 2 days away from heading into October, and the first month of football will be quickly behind us, as it seems to do every year, as all sports seasons seem to do. But had a hectic day of college football yesterday, and we turn our attention now to the NFL slate. After that Thursday night game between the Cowboys and the Giants kicked things off. And it's just what the books wanted, man. We're going to get into our best bets later, but the books are cooking early in week 4. They closed that line at 5.5 for Dallas. I know you and I altered it down a bit before it got to that final line, thank God. But I know that a lot of people did not. And the books got exactly what they wanted.
That was
Brandon
disgusting.
Aubrey
That was
just
disgusting.
pushes a 50-yard field goal, 52-yard field goal with less than 30 seconds left that would have covered the Cowboys spread. Instead, it hits right at that sweet spot of 5. The Giants cover. The books win yet again. But we won yet again. So make sure to stay tapped in for all of our picks that we give you guys on the Twitter channel and on the show.
I feel for y'all out there, though.
Happy Sunday.
The ones that didn't get that 4.5 line. I mean, that sucks. That is the hook of a hook, man. I mean, you can't write that any better.
No, that's the hook of the year, bro. That is the hook of the year.
So far, that's the hook of the year.
When you take everything into account, when you take in who it was, where, like, Brandon Aubrey, the entire broadcast, all for almost 4 full quarters, is talking about this dude. Automatic, kicked a 65 and a 60-yarder last week, kicked a 60-yarder from midfield on Thursday night. Cooked another 50-something yarder before that one, and then runs on the field, man, with the game basically running out of time, and just doesn't even come close. Like, it was rushed, I get it, but pushes it right, and it's just like, wow, like that has to hurt. But let me throw this to you, man, before we get into this full slate of action. Why are people so like anti-alternate lines? Because I'm a big alt line guy. When it comes to totals, when it comes to spread, I tend to take it down a point to a point and a half. And I know from just the outside, from everyone else, you're in. Well, what real difference does that make? Thursday night is a perfect example. Now, I'm not always right. Like, it's not like I'm just going, 100% over here. I'm lucky to go 50% like the rest of you, and that's a great day on most nights.
Yeah, I think football is the number one sport to do it with.
Like, man, honestly, Scott, if the line's 5.5 and you can push it down and it's sitting at -110, why not take 4.5 at -120, -125? Like, anything under -130. Yeah, anything under -130 is fine for me. Like -125, -120. Like, I don't care about that. So
the lack of
I don't
patience,
know.
Chasing juice. I only know this because I've been there. Like, especially when I was betting like smaller amounts, you're always chasing like odds, right? And so that extra point, it just doesn't look like that big of a deal when you think that the Cowboys are going to beat the Giants on Thursday night football. But like you said, it can make the world of difference. And in our case, it did. And I'm even looking at this Arizona-Washington Commanders total today, right? I looked at it. I think the line was at like 48.5. I go to the alt section. I'm looking at 46.5. That's what's looking nice to me, right? And it's like you said, it's in like the -130, the -120 area for that game. But that's just another example, man. Like, just alting, just to give yourself like a safety net, especially if you're betting larger amounts, right? Anything over like $20, you may as well don't like chase the juice. And that's the thing that I ran into when I first started gambling, was just always chasing like at least plus odds. I always felt like I had to have like at least plus 100. So you'll add like a little false leg on there to
No.
get it over to the plus odds, and then that leg doesn't hit, and it blows your fucking mind. But that's gambling. That's the trick of the trade, man. Sometimes you just gotta be patient when you're trying to build, especially. So
Correct. I
yeah,
mean,
man,
put it this way: minus
I think it's a
120
great
is a
point.
perfect example of the sweet spot that I like. And if you bet like me or like a lot of, if let's just say you're a $50 unit kind of guy, or that's 2 units for you if you're $25.
Yeah,
$50 on minus 120 profits 40, it pays 90.
yeah,
But for some reason, people see that and they're like, no, I need it to be like plus
needs to
100
be double.
and profit
Yeah,
50. What is the 10 extra in that scenario?
yeah,
What is that $8 to $10 extra doing? Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you don't want
That's
to
why it
just
is good
profit
to get
40
a,
on a $50 bet. Like
unit
that doesn't make
system.
sense. But
It is good to track stuff, unit system, all of it, because I mean, once I started doing that, that makes everything easier for me, right?
that's my
And just
biggest issue.
stop chasing. That's the big thing too.
My biggest issue is not being consistent with units. And like yesterday, I think is a
Yeah,
perfect example. Now, again, I did for the whole week love Georgia regardless. So it's not like I was,
yeah,
not going to put that much on it anyway. But I had a very successful afternoon and early night. And then I basically put the profits on Georgia. And then in one fell swoop, the previous 8 hours of
profits are gone.
profits are gone
Yeah,
for no reason. So it's like
yeah.
I do need to get better when it comes to just unit management and not just blowing
It's
everything
tough though,
on one
because
night. Right.
that's like a huge game. Like that's game
Right.
of the
Correct.
year when it comes to like college
Correct.
football
For
in that
example,
sense.
one of my
So
wins
it's like,
yesterday was a UConn versus Buffalo over. Now, am
yeah,
I going to put the same respect or same dollar amount on UConn
right.
Buffalo over
You're not going
or
to
Georgia
invest that
money line?
much into that,
Right. So
but
that's the issue. But
the Georgia game, that just sucked how it began. Like if it
that
could have
was
any other beginning,
yeah,
it wouldn't be that bad of a bet. But the way it started, man, that was
yeah,
just brutal.
unbelievable,
I'm
man,
in the same boat. I lost a lot of units
unbelievable.
on the Bulldogs, man. But
But
we moved,
let's
man.
take a
Got to
peek,
have a
man.
great Sunday today.
Yes, sir. It's bounce back day, and let's take a peek at this Sunday slate of where we can get right. And let's start with the game on top of my list here, over on NFL.com, and that's going to be my first official bet that I'm locking in. I already sent it over to you. The 2-1 Saints at the 1-2 Falcons. Derek Carr versus Kirk Cousins. The Falcons coming off of that Sunday night football loss against the Chiefs last week, and obviously the Saints coming off of a heartbreaking loss to our Eagles in the final minute of that game in New Orleans. Both teams in desperate need for a win, man. But from a record perspective, obviously, I think it's clear which team needs it more. But just take that away because it is earlier in the season. 2-2, 1-3. It's not going to make all the difference in the world for whoever loses this game. But so try to take that from away from it. Who needs this game more? Like who do you think is the better team that's going to have more success down the line, whereas the other team needs this one more early on in the year?
Man, it's a very interesting question. And I'm gonna take a look at something here, but I'll give you my initial lean on my answer for that question. And it is the New Orleans Saints, actually. I do lean that way. And the reason I believe that is because you look at who the Falcons have played. They played the Eagles, right? They were able to beat the Eagles in Philly on top of it. They played the Chiefs at home. That's not a bad loss at the end of the day. Those are the defending two-time, whatever. Patrick Mahomes, defending champions. So you lose to them at home. That's not the biggest deal. You played them tough. I do give them points for playing the Chiefs tough. I do that. I'm sorry. I give teams credit for playing the Chiefs tough. That's just a thing. But I think when you look back on the Falcons season so far, it's like their record right now isn't that bad given who they've played. Now, what I wanted to look at is who do the Falcons play coming up, but all division games coming up. So you got the Saints, Bucks, and Panthers in a row. So the reason I lean the Saints, and I still do to that point, even after seeing who they play upcoming, I think that furthers my case to lean towards the Saints. Because the Saints went from one extreme to another extreme low. Yeah. And that was last week when they only scored 12 points after scoring over 40 in their first two matchups. It's like, what are the Saints really? Like, was that a mirage? Were the Cowboys defense is the Cowboys defense really just that bad after what we've seen from them the last couple weeks? And then you go back to the week one, it's like that's the Panthers, man. So like there's a couple teams that might do that to the Panthers. So I'm looking at it from that perspective. We still really don't know what the Saints are. They dropped a ball against Philly last weekend. And mind you, we had the Eagles winning it, but we didn't have them winning the game like that, right? Like 15-12 in the Saints building. Like that's kind of an embarrassing loss when you look at the way the Eagles played. They were basically giving that game to the Saints, and the Saints can take advantage. So I do think it's a bigger game for the Saints. I guess I just have more confidence in Atlanta going forward. And to take it one step further, I do think Atlanta wins this game today as well. That is my pick. So yeah, to answer your question, I would lean New Orleans needs this game more, but I'm going with Atlanta.
Yeah, no, I do agree, and here, for all the reasons you laid out, I think that obviously the schedule will play a factor, but I think if you just go back 3 to 4 weeks ago, you and I both had picked the Atlanta Falcons to come away and win this division, and I think the Saints were towards the bottom of both of our predictions. And again, you try not to just allow the first few weird weeks where teams are getting settled in, defenses are ahead of schedule, whatever the case may, or the offenses are ahead of schedule, etc. I think the Falcons are just a better football team. I don't think that Derek Carr is going to continue to play heroic MVP-like football like we saw from the first 2 weeks. I don't think Alvin Kamara is going to be running in 4 touchdowns in a game. I don't think that defense is better than I think the Falcons are an overall better football team. They've been tested more. They've played they both played the Eagles. One team has a win, one doesn't. In common opponents. So again, I know how it sounds. If the Saints come away with a win, they're 3-1. The Falcons are 1-3. Whereas if the Saints lose, they're both 2-2. So it's very easy to look at that and go, oh well, duh, the Falcons need it. It's a long season, man, and just the fact that they got that sole win in Philly changes things for them. The numbers back it. Now, do you want to be 1-3? No, and I don't know that the percentages and the numbers back you up in terms of winning a division or making the playoffs starting 1-3. But I know at 0-3, you really are in the doghouse. And if they didn't win that game against the Eagles, the answer would be completely different today. But
I agree with that as well.
If they were to lose this game, I don't think the Falcons' season is over. If the Saints lose this game, is their season over? No, they're 2-2. No. But I do think the Bucs are better. I do think the Falcons are better. Yeah. And both of those teams will continue to play better football as the year goes on, where I think the Saints will regress at points throughout the season. So, I totally agree. I think the Saints need this one more, man.
The Saints head to Kansas City next week. So,
that's a loss. Okay.
Yeah, they absolutely
let me be as blunt and as kind as I could possibly be. That is a loss for the New Orleans Saints next weekend. But like you said, all losses count the same, all wins count the same. It's tough to say there's such a good thing as a good loss, but you do get a little bit of points back, a little bit of credit back when you play Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs very tough. And that's what the Falcons did. So they do get credit from that perspective, man. But my best bet for this game and so far of the slate, because I gotta be honest, I'm not liking this slate at all. I do not like the board at all. I'll try to come up with some picks with you throughout the show. I got like a couple picks. My best bet though is the Saints Falcons over 41 at -119 on DraftKings. It is the under 41 is the most bet under on the slate this week across all books. So the public is on the under. I'm taking the over. I don't know why the public's on this total, on this under, and I don't know why it was set at this point anyway. I know there were injuries. I know there were concerns. However, Alvin Kamara is looking like he's going to play, and Chris Olave is looking like he's going to play for New Orleans. Atlanta's fine. Again, man, the Saints scored 91 points through the first 2 weeks. Got basically almost shut down in New Orleans against the Eagles. Are they not going to bounce back at all this week? And the Falcons really haven't had that offensive burst at all that we were expecting this Kirk Cousins offense to look like. Week 1 against the Steelers, they got trampled. Week 2, it took them to the final 90 seconds for them to put together a really successful drive against the Eagles and score 22 total points. And last week, what did they score against the Chiefs? 19 or in the low 20s or something,
Yeah,
or right
something like
around
that.
there. So they have not had more than 22 points in a week so far. I'm expecting the Falcons to play well at home today and move the ball. I'm expecting a couple explosive plays from both teams. So, yeah, I'll take the over 41 as my best bet of the week so far.
I like it. I like it. I think that's just the books also kind of saying what we just said when we were going over that game. What the hell are the New Orleans Saints? Like, are they the 40-point team or are they that 12-point team from last week? If they're just somewhere in the middle, which is what's most likely, then you'll get your over in that game.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, man. I think they get north of 17 points in this
game. Is my co-host riding with me on this one? He's TBD, man. I just gotta say, week one.
No, it's not like that, man. It's like I'm gonna have to like reinvest units.
I got you.
But it is something that I really like. So I
was gonna say week one, we steered the ship in the right direction. We tailed every bet and we had a very successful.
Yeah, I may have to join in on you.
Join in.
Whoa, pause.
Whoa.
Join in with you on that lay. Pause this morning, man. Whoa, what came out of my mouth? But yeah, I am going to tail that with you, my man. I am with you on the Saints Falcons.
I appreciate the vote of confidence,
brother. Let's ride.
Let's skip this next game. Bengals Panthers, man. I'm going with the Bengals here in this one. If they lose this game, just flip the entire city of Cincinnati upside down and trade one of those two receivers immediately, put Joe Burrow on the IR and let that wrist and hand heal up to whatever it needs to get to for next year, because your season will be over. This is one of those lines, 4.5. Scotty, the Bengals, realistic, this should not be a 4.5 point spread.
Yeah, brother.
But I don't think I'm touching it, bro.
I did. And this is one of my best bets. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to ride with them.
Hey, look, and I've been kind of off the Bengals this season. Like they do have their issues. Like I do get it. I do
agree. It should not be 4.5 points, brother.
Andy Dalton makes it a little sketch. Like I do feel you. I actually did take the Bengals at -5.5. That line has moved to 4.5 since then. Since just this morning, actually, it's moved from 5.5 to 4.5. I would definitely encourage, take the 4.5.
I'm going to ride with you. Listen, I talked you into the over. I'm going to ride on the Bengals. Like I said, it is something
they need to, right?
You go, this isn't right. Like
this is like beyond a red alert if they lose, or if this game is even close, man. They should come out and have one of those like let loose games, right? Like just let loose on the Panthers, give them all your frustration.
Put it this way, I don't care how bad the Bengals defense has been, how bad their pass defense has been the last 2 years, the last year and a half. If they score around 30 points, which this offense should be very capable of doing against this Panthers defense, the Panthers will not be able to keep up, and they'll cover.
It's a dignity thing, man. Yeah. Have some dignity, some pride. I get it. Like 1-3 is not where you want to be. But 0-4, that's when guys start getting moved. So, come out and show some dignity today, Cincy. That's why I'm riding with them. And it is one of these things where I just got to trust Joe Burrow and that offense.
I agree. I do agree,
man. Like I'm not hating on Andy, but like, come on.
I do, and you have to look at it from this perspective. The Falcons, the Panthers just got a win last week.
They're on a high
since turning the ball over, turning the keys over to Andy Dalton from Bryce Young and everything going on there. So, like, are the Bengals going to start 0-4 while the Panthers all of a sudden are a 2-2 football team?
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is like, the Bengals could still win. I don't think the Bengals are winning if they don't cover 4 points.
Yeah.
If this is a 2 or 3 point ball game, I don't think the Bengals are. I think it's going to be a huge letdown spot. The offense isn't moving the ball like they should be, and the Panthers are able to creep in, and this is an ugly game. If the Bengals win this game, they're going to win by 12, 14 plus points. So I do agree. That's why, man. Let's move on to this next one. The Rams Bears, the depleted LA Rams, 1-2, head to Chicago and take on the Caleb Williams-led Bears at 1-2. I'm telling you now, man, the Bears need this one. That not for this season, like not just for the season. The Rams, they're so depleted. Matt Eberflus's career in Chicago depends on this one.
Yeah.
He is going to be the guy that goes first. Like, if there was going to be a coach that gets canned mid-season, it will be Matt Eberflus this year if things continue in this direction for the Chicago Bears. You dropped your franchise rookie quarterback back 53 plus times last week behind that offensive line. DeAndre Swift can't get back to the line of scrimmage when you turn around and give him the ball. And you're going to drop Caleb Williams back over 50 times in a ball game. Your defense is good enough. Your defense is good enough, especially at home today against a Rams team that is beat up on the line of scrimmage, that has no Puka Nacua, that has no Cooper Kupp. Your defense is good enough to limit Matt Stafford on the road today, especially with the Rams coming off that from behind win against the 49ers last week.
Yeah.
Can this offensive line show up against the Rams defense? And if it doesn't, and if Matt Eberflus continues to put Caleb Williams in harm's way, and they're throwing the ball 48 plus times, and they can't run the ball worth shit, and the offensive game plan looks terrible, and Caleb's getting sacked and turning the ball over, and they go to 1-3, Matt Eberflus is going to be on the hot seat by week 7, dude.
Yeah, but I think that's why you come into this game and you're just kind of skeptical of the Bears when it should feel like a smash spot for the Bears at -3 at home against the depleted Rams, but it doesn't. It feels like we should have some concerns about the Bears going into this game, and I think it stems directly from coaching. At this point, you just don't trust Eberflus going against a Sean McVay that has proven himself time after time in this league. What's this comment say? We got a Rams fan chiming in. This is my man, Pastor Rams.
It's a good catch by Remy. So the offensive line is back.
And to that point, that's why, once again, I just don't know that I can trust this Bears team, even at home against a depleted Rams team. It's not only Sean McVay, it is Matthew Stafford as well. He brings a level of experience to the game to the point where he can spread the ball around with those guys. Even though it's not Cooper Kupp, it's not Puka Nacua, he's experienced enough to get the ball to the right spots. So, I go into this game, man, I don't know. This was one that I write down all these matchups. I pick my winners. I pick like who I think is going to cover the spread, which way. And this was one I couldn't come to like a solidified conclusion on. This one is up in the air for me. It's one that I'm not touching from a spread or any type of winner standpoint. But like I said, it should be a smash spot at home for the Chicago Bears with Caleb Williams, with these weapons on the outside, right? With a competent defense at least, right? Should be a smash spot at home against the depleted Rams, but there's a reason it doesn't feel that way. There's a reason they're only a 3-point spread against the Rams at home. And I don't know. It's a sketchy one for me. I don't have a solidified pick, but I guess I would lean Bears.
That total's sitting at 40. What do you think about it?
40.5. Trying to think of like a score prediction. Well, yeah, I mean, if the Bears are going to win, especially, it's going to have to go over, I think, because the Rams are going to put up points at the end of the day. I think
the only way that this game to me doesn't go, it's another over I kind of like. The only way to me it doesn't go over, man, is if like the Bears can't score an offensive touchdown.
Yeah, the Rams dominate the Bears.
Right, like they lose like 24-10 or something like that.
Yeah,
like, that's the only way. Like I think the Rams are going to be able to put it this way. I think the Rams will score at least 17 points.
Yeah,
and if you get into that area and the Bears are going to win and cut you're right around that 40-point mark. That's why, like, I know it's tough, especially when you look at some defensive matchups. Not that this is one of those, but there's injuries on both sides and everything and issues. But like when totals are that low, you're almost like never out of the bet until it's over. Like all it takes, it could be 6-3 at halftime, and all it takes is 2 explosive plays in the to start the second half, and you're back in for the over. So like, it's always intriguing to keep an eye. That would be kind of where I lean in this game, would be that over 40 mark. I don't have too much of a read. I don't trust the Bears. I don't trust them
Yeah.
to get the job done.
Yeah.
But like I said, the Rams are coming off such a high. Are they going to sustain that coming into this week? And are they going to build off of that? Or is this a little bit of a letdown spot and a get back spot when it comes to Chicago? I don't know.
Yeah. Are they just better than Chicago? That's something, you know what I mean? Like maybe they're just a better, more well-coached team than Chicago is right now. So I think that will play a part. But.
Let's speed this up a little bit because we do have a pregame show to get to in about 20 to 30 minutes as well. No, we still have a decent amount of time. I just don't want to catwalk our way through this. The fourth game we're looking at here, man. Vikings Packers.
Yeah.
3-0 Minnesota, 2-1 Packers. Jordan Love returns. Aaron Jones returns to Lambeau Field. Sam Darnold, early MVP candidate, playing flawless. Brian Flores in that defense. No Jair Alexander for the Packers today. I told you earlier this week the Vikings are going to be 3-1. I still believe the Vikings are going to be 3-1. Do I believe it enough to put my money on the Packers? And I don't like that the spread has crept up to that 3 range where the money line's now inflated to like minus 140, minus 145. And in that price range, I don't necessarily love it. When it was like a 1.5 to 2 point spread, their money line was like minus 120, minus 125. I loved it.
Yeah.
It's a little inflated for me right now, man. So I don't know. That's going to be a game time decision on whether or not your boy's throwing down on that money line or not. But I do think that the Packers win this game. I think it puts a little roadblock. It puts a little stop to the Viking hype train and the Sam Darnold MVP conversation for now.
Yeah, man, this is actually one of my bets as well. I did put one unit.
Talk me into
Green Bay -3. I think it did move to -2.5. I got it at -3.
It's back. Yeah, it's back at 2.5 right now. I see.
Gotcha. Yeah. So 2.5, 3, whichever you would like, or if you want to, if you got any boosts out there, maybe you can go money line that way. Nonetheless, I do think it's like come back down to earth moment for the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold. I think Green defense has proven that they are pretty legit, given what they've been able to do with Jordan Love out of the lineup. Right, they're just having that. You could call it an imbalance of offense and defense. I mean, Malik Willis has been kind of balling out for the Packers as well. But I think that speaks to what type of unit the Packers are working with offensively as well. They play really well together as a team, to the point where Malik Willis could just fill in there and also use his legs occasionally as well. But Jordan Love being back is a huge part of it for me, especially against that Vikings defense. You're going to need somebody back there that has a a little bit more experience to deal with some of the looks
the huddle
that the Vikings are going to throw at them.
Set up at the line of scrimmage, not get
that's a huge reasoning. That's a huge reasoning for me taking the Packers in this one. Divisional matchup, man. It's in Green Bay. The Packers need to win this one, and it feels like the Vikings are due for a loss. Like if the Vikings lose this game, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of their season.
And listen to
it's not this big detractor on their season so far. They've had a great start.
To walk into Lambeau Field and move the ball at will up and down and put up points, I'll shut my mouth. I'll stop talking about them and I'll stop trying to put a halt to that.
It's a great way to put it. Yeah.
But we're going to find out today. Again, I get no Jair Alexander who's going to match up one-on-one with Jettas, different looks. But that's still a very good defense in one of the most difficult places to play. The biggest division matchup probably in that division between these two teams. It's time for Jordan Love and the Packers to show up because, I'm not on that hype train either. I wasn't to start the year, but now I'm all aboard for this one, Scotty.
He comes out and loses with the team that Malik Willis went 2-0 with. That looks a little interesting. I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just saying looks a little interesting. Xavier McKinney, the safety, we're pretty familiar, was on the Giants. We looked at signing him this offseason.
Week 1.
He's actually had 3 weeks in a row where he's gotten an interception. So in each game this year, he has an interception, total of 3.
All right, something to keep an eye on.
That going?
But I
Sam
do
Darnold.
agree. I'm going to roll Go Pack Go on this one today with you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Next, let's go up to North Jersey. Broncos, Jets. This is sitting around 7.5 right now. Could be pushed up to 8 if you want to. How are you feeling about this one? This one's interesting. The weather seems shitty in upper New Jersey, New York City. Rainy, windy, etc. This seems like a game on the ground, right? That Broncos defense, Pat Surtain, are they going to be able to put the ball through the air? Is Garrett Wilson going to have a day? This screams Bryce Hall afternoon, but they've been giving Braylon Allen a nice mixture. They're probably going to continue that trend today. And then counterpart, Bo Nix got his first career win in the NFL last week. He's got to go on the road, bad weather against the Jets defense that is kind of starting to get that identity back, right? They got hit in the mouth week 1, and everyone said, whoa. I thought like you plug in Aaron Rodgers with this defense and these weapons, and oh my God, we got a juggernaut. Well, they got punched in the mouth week 1. They've been steadily getting better each of the last 2 weeks. They've won each of the last 2 weeks. This could be a problem day for Bo Nix. I don't know your thoughts on that, but I think Bo Nix might turn the football over a few times, especially in that weather today.
It's definitely a weird game for me. The 7.5 line I do not love, just because it is just a weird. It could get mucked up, if that makes sense. Like if Bo Nix doesn't turn the ball over, if they just play like a conservative game plan, shitty weather, how does that look when you have a quarterback like Bo Nix that is just that like weird tweener quarterback, right? Like he's what you would call like a tweener. I don't know if he's a dual threat, but he can run, right? Like he's a weird quarterback to go against. And I must not lie, right? Like the Broncos' performance last week against the Bucs, it is sticking in my head a little bit, just how dominant they were. But this is the Jets. I do expect the Jets to come away with the W. I just don't trust it enough for like, let me lock in that 8-point win, right? Like I could see them winning by, covering 6.5, for example. So maybe that's one of those games you alt, right? But I don't love the 7.5, but the Jets should take care of business in this one. I will say that.
Put it this way. What am I missing here with some of these lines? The Saints-Falcons are 41. The Rams-Bears are 40. Yet you're trying to give me the Broncos-Jets with 2 great defenses in very bad weather at 39.5. Riddle me that one. I'm not taking it, and I'm not taking the under because you never know. But I'm not understanding the logic. Maybe that's why I'm not working in that field with any.
I don't think I would touch this game outside of touchdown scores.
Yeah, I'm good. And I don't even know if Breece Hall, I do like to score, keep it on the ground in that weather, but minus 135, I think he was.
It could just get stolen by Braylon Allen. So yeah, I feel you.
Jags Texans AFC South matchup. Jacksonville 0-3 after getting stomped on Monday Night Football in Buffalo. 5.5-point spread, but the Texans have not looked like themselves or look like we expected them to. Yeah. Joe Mixon officially out. I believe Dameon Pierce is going to be out as well. The ball's going to be in Cam Akers' hands again. That offensive line had like 15 penalties, it felt like last week, at home or wherever they were. If they were on the road, I don't remember. Against the Minnesota Vikings. They are at home today. I think by default, because of how bad Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson's team looks right now, I think the Texans are going to win this game. Let me put it that way. The spread I don't love either side of. I would never put my money to back Trevor Lawrence plus 5.5 in week 4 right now with how they've looked. But the Texans have not inspired me, especially in a division matchup, to go and lay them basically giving a touchdown. So I am staying away from that one. I'm staying away from the total in this one as well. This is a no-go for me, man. But I don't know. You might have a play you love in this one.
No, this was one I considered making the Texans minus 5.5 a best bet, but just couldn't. Once again, like you said, I just couldn't put my faith in them to that extent. I do think this is a game they should win at home, but the thing that's kind of creeping me out, it is an interdivision game. And weird things do happen. Like the Jags' backs are against the wall. Doug Peterson is on the hot seat. There's a lot of pressure on them to come out and perform well today. And the Texans haven't been overwhelmingly great. They
No.
are 2-1. They've gotten some decent wins, but then they come out and look abysmal against the Minnesota Vikings team, who clearly we're not yet sold on just yet, right? And to see like their offense look that bad, especially, was concerning. But Sam Darnold on the other side, it's equally concerning, I guess, when you look at it from that perspective. So both of these teams backs on the wall in a sense. Like the Texans are 2-1. They're not backs on the wall, but they are at home. This is the game that they should take care of given the Jags standing right now. But something just off here. I couldn't lock it in. And now I'm even going as far as like, man, maybe the Jags could steal one, shock the Texans. And maybe it's not even that much of a shock given it's an in-division game. But I will say I do think the Texans win at home.
Yeah, I agree.
Not solid enough to even like lock in like a money line, but
no.
The 5.5 is a definite not.
Too risky of a matchup for me, man. Speaking of risky matchup, I think I like my lean in this one, but this is another one where I'm probably agreeing to stay away with you. Steelers Colts. Final 1:00 game that we're looking at on Turf Talk here today. 2.5-point favorites are the Steelers. It's about a -150 money line. That I do not love that at all. I don't like how Anthony Richardson has looked through 3 weeks. I know he's had some of the flashiest and biggest and best throws of the year so far. Go back to week 1 with that fucking 70-yard dot against the Texans to Alec Pierce. I get it. Yeah. The big playability's there. He's big, he's athletic. His completion percentage sucks. He's turning the ball over. 2 of the games, he hasn't even completed like 11-plus passes in 3 weeks. And I have no idea how he's supposed to solve a Pittsburgh Steelers defense today. I don't. I don't think he's going to have success. However, in Indianapolis, they really need a win. Am I trusting Justin Fields and Najee Harris to go score enough points for me today? They've done it the first 3 weeks. But are the Steelers going to start this year 4-0 and get another road win today? This is a stay away spot from me. I lean Steelers. I do. I think that defense themselves could cause 2 touchdowns against Anthony Richardson and the Colts today. But I'm not. I can't lay my money on it. It's too weird of a spot for me.
Yeah, man, I'm with you, honestly. I look at the spread here. It was 2.5 last time I looked at it. Definitely not touching that. I mean, you look at a team like the Steelers that are so defensively oriented. 1-2 points is all that it might take to get the W in this one. At the same time, it almost looks like a Steelers smash spot if you like really are sold on the Steelers this year. This is a Colts team that, like you said, it hasn't been great through the air. They don't have a ton of weapons on the outside to make space and room for Anthony Richardson to see windows out there. So I do think it's going to be tough in that regard. But then you look at the backfield, what we've kind of looked at the Colts offense, their calling card has been the run game. Jonathan Taylor, Anthony Richardson using his legs. Pittsburgh has the number 2 run defense in the NFL right now. So I don't think they're going to be able to do what they want or what they think they'll be able to do through the ground today either. And that's a real concern spot for me. But once again, why do I come out of this like not completely sold on Steelers?
Yeah.
Justin Fields. Agree. What if he just has a back-to-earth day, looks like he's back in Chicago and turns the ball over 3 times? We just don't know yet. And the Colts defense is good enough to do it. So, yeah, I'm with you. I would stay away, but I do lean the Steelers. They should win this game.
I agree, dude. And by the way, we have a fantasy football question here. I'm assuming he means Olave.
Olive. That's a nice nickname.
Olive here. Where do you lean? Start one of these guys, Scotty. We got Rashid Shaheed, DeAndre Hopkins, I'm assuming, and Chris Olave. Chris Olave has been questionable all week, but I saw before we got on here that he is most likely going to give it a go today. We got Hopkins on Monday night against the Dolphins on the road, and we obviously have Shaheed, teammate of Olave, playing the Falcons as well. Here's the issue when it comes to Rashid Shaheed for me. It depends what kind of league you're in. If you're in a PPR league, whatever, Rashid Shaheed just isn't it for me, man. Like, he's not going to touch the ball enough. He is a big player to the game. He might get you 90 yards, luckily it might come on two touches.
I think I would go Olave and
Yeah,
Hopkins.
Olave's the clear answer. The only reason was debating the Hopkins play a little bit
going against the Falcons. Like
the
with
Falcons,
Olave.
that secondary on the road, he is beat up a little bit. Can Derek Carr get him the ball today? But I'm taking it over in that game. So if I'm trusting my money to take it over in that game,
good enough.
The Saints are going to move the ball, and Chris Olave is, to me, what's he, a top 15 wide receiver? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of players that are right there.
A bunch of guys that are right in that bracket. But I would go with Chris Olave, man. I have him in my league as well.
As long as he's
in my flex spot right now.
Playing, I would go with Olave.
So
as well. Hopkins would be number 2, though. Just the way he looked last week, maybe Levy's leans on him a little bit in that Tennessee offense. They might get a lot of the ball given Miami's situation now.
Yeah, Tyler Huntley starting for the Dolphins. So
Hopkins is in a
we would start Chris Olave, my man. But I do agree with you on everything you said about the Steelers, Scotty. I am staying away. Let's run through these rapid fire 4:00 games. The 49ers, I know they're beat up. However, it does look like Debo and Kittle are going to play today. They're going to beat the dog shit out of the New England Patriots.
Yeah. Like a frustration game.
The spread's at 10.5. They might win this game. And I know they have injuries all over the defensive side of the ball as well. They might win this game like 31-7 or 10. Like they're going to kick the shit out of this Patriots team at home, coming off of that disaster of a loss last week. Can't do it. Cannot do it. Best bet today, Gint. I'm going to stick with my over, Scotty. I want to stick with my over in the Saints Falcons at over 41 at -119. That's I don't love the board at all today, and that's what I'll go. If you want to get frisky with us, you can ride the Bengals, the 0-3 Bengals at -5 today on the road and see if they can get right. So that might be the way to go. But I'll stick. My best bet would be the over in the Saints Falcons. I don't know.
My biggest unit play is the Saquon TD, but that is boosted on FanDuel 50%.
Right, right. I think he's sitting at like -130 on DraftKings, which I fucking hate, dude. Like, no touchdown score should be any worse than -110. No touchdown score. I just don't. I don't care, Matt. Like, dude, last year there were moments where Christian McCaffrey was like -210 to score a touchdown last year.
Yeah,
you know how ridiculous that is.
But at least he doesn't have a quarterback that like hawks touchdowns. Like Jalen Hurts could fuck around and have 2 rushing touchdowns himself. You know what I mean? So it's like in Saquon's case even more. Like, why is the juice? Why is the juice drained so much in that?
He's got Paris Campbell over 2.5 receptions. I think on DraftKings it's like -120. Jahan Dotson over 2.5 receptions is like -130, -140. However you go there, I think Goddard's receptions are like 5.5 at +100.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, here you go, dude. He's all over the Steelers if this is the case. So maybe that's where you lean, kid.
275 and 3 tutties. Yeah, all through the air.
No. That's combined, Scotty. That's like 80 rushing, 100 and some.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. Yards. I don't know what he means, but
it has to be that. I would imagine it has to be that.
Flex Christian Kirk, Rachaad White, or Courtland Sutton. Oh,
I'd go Kirk.
Probably Christian Kirk. For a matchup wise, Rachaad White's interesting. He's beat up. He's sharing time. And the Eagles did look good against the run last week. But if that doesn't keep up today, Rachaad White in the screen game could have a nice day. So I don't know. I'm hoping not. Obviously, we're going to talk about that in about 10 minutes or so over on the pregame show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we would go with Christian Kirk. As
Rachaad White isn't moving me today.
Let's run through these real quick, Scotty. Commanders at Cardinals, 3.5 point spread here.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels looking great on Monday Night Football, taking down the Bengals, makes a great throw to ice the game. Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. at home.
Yeah.
What do you like in this one?
I do like the over. It was at 48.5, I believe.
Yeah,
the last time I looked at it. I did alt it down to 47.5 to -132. I actually like this as a 2-unit play, man. I like it because I do think these two offenses will live up to the total. Like, if that makes sense. I think these two offenses are exciting, young, have a lot of points to put up out there. And neither of these defenses are world beaters, right? Like, we saw what the Bengals and Commanders just did on Monday Night Football. Or, yeah, Monday Night. That was a late game of Monday Night Football. I get confused with two Monday Night Football games. But, yeah, that was the later Monday Night Football game. And they obviously put on a show. I think that game went over, 60 total points?
Yeah.
We're not asking for 60. We're just asking for 48 in my
under
case,
50.
49. At the end of the day, I do think these offenses show up. And I think the bigger key is that neither of these defenses are built or equipped to stop either of these offenses. I think these offenses should have a field day today. So I do actually.
This could be a spot where Marvin Harrison Jr. anytime touchdown is played, but.
Yeah, I do agree with that, man. I also like Jaden Daniels anytime touchdown as well, man.
I like it.
I think his knack to run the football. He's got an interesting instincts to the game, man. He might have it. Like he's looked great to start the season.
Yeah, I said this to you earlier in the week. He is
a big spot for him.
Much more quickly and easy.
These two teams have exciting quarterbacks, offenses.
Cool. All the writing on the wall is for an explosive game. We'll see if it plays out that way.
We'll see.
Chiefs Chargers spread is 7. The Chiefs will cover the spread. I believe no Justin Herbert, no Derwin James, no X, Y, and Z for the Chargers at home today. The Chiefs themselves they have not had that win yet, right? They have not put all the pieces of the puzzle together. They have not looked great offensively. I think today is that day, and I think they'll cover the spread. I'll run through the next two, and then you can wrap it up, man. Browns, Raiders. Oh, yuck. No idea what I would do in this game. I'll take the Browns money line. I was high for some reason on the Browns.
No Davante Adams.
I must have been high to think that the Browns were going to be good and Deshaun Watson could do anything like back in 2017, 2018. But I'll take the Browns money line here. Bills, Ravens, potentially game of the week. Sunday Night Football. I'm excited to sit back. I would just watch this one later tonight, man.
Yeah.
But Ravens need it. The Ravens obviously need it much more. The Bills are one of the undefeated teams. The Ravens obviously steered away from an 0-3 start last week as they beat the Cowboys. I like the over, I believe, in this one. But if I had to give a side, give me the Bills and the points. I think Josh Allen is so locked in right now. And I think that even those weapons that I don't love and don't jump off the page to you can do some damage against the Ravens secondary. So give me the Bills plus the points, but my play would probably be the over 46 in this one.
Yeah, no, I like what you said. Obviously, I don't have much to say about the Browns Raiders. Browns should win. No Davante Adams in that game. The Chiefs Chargers. I do agree with you. I think the Chiefs do win this game. It's interesting. Obviously, Herbert out, you would expect the Chiefs to cover. But the one thing with the Chiefs, on the other side of what you were saying, they are due to have a great game. They're also due to lose at some point. Like, I don't think they're going to go undefeated this season. So when does that loss come in? That's kind of the other conversation for the Chiefs. It's really the only point you can make towards them losing is just that they won't be undefeated. But to your point, they take care of business against the Herbert-less Chargers.
Yeah.
In the Ravens-Bills game, I actually am leaning Ravens way, man. At home, like you said, the Ravens need it more. And you know how high I've been on the Bills, how high I've been on Josh Allen. It's not that they're going to have some horrible game. I just think the real Ravens that I've expected all season to show up tonight should take care of business, but should be a great, great matchup. The Bills due to lose as well, man. Are they going to be undefeated with this new offense? I don't think so, but going to be a tough one for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I think I'm most definitely just going to root for points in that one.
Yeah, I feel you. I am going to lay the Ravens 2.5, depending on how this day goes. Depends on how many units. But I am going to lay it. I'm going to ride with Lamar tonight. But I do feel you. How do you feel about the Monday night games? Maybe the Titans-Dolphins can skip over a little bit here.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea in that one. And then what's the second and final?
Go Titans, personally. I'd go Titans the way the Dolphins have looked. But who fucking knows? The Dolphins are 2.5 point favorites at home, though. Seahawks at Lions, man. This is a
It's a
back
great
to
game.
earth moment for me
Yeah.
with the
I
Seahawks.
think it's gonna be a
They're
good game, but
3-0.
it's the Lions. What's that spread sitting at?
Detroit -3.5, which I do actually
Yeah,
like.
it's Detroit. It's Detroit.
Key thing here, man. Detroit has a loss to the Seahawks in their last 3
Yeah,
seasons.
I remember their last game was in Detroit, and I think was like 38-35 or something like that, like, or 40 something to 38 in week like 2 or 3 last week. Might have went to overtime. It was a crazy game.
Lions defense is better this year, though.
Yeah, it is. And it being in Detroit, I like them -3 tomorrow night as well, man.
Likewise.
But, all right, we have to get up on out of here to give us enough time for this pregame show. So, guys, come hang out with us over on the DSM Media Philadelphia YouTube channel, not the Turf Talk one. Come hang out with us. We're going to be talking Eagles, Buccaneers preview, keys to victory, best bets, game picks, and all that stuff. So make sure to subscribe to the Turf Talk YouTube channel and then come hang out with us in a few moments. We'll be starting in about 5 minutes or so. Peace out, everybody.
Peace. Go Birds.